Hi, everybody. For anybody watching at home or after the fact, welcome to the special meeting of the Bike Walk Commission on this lovely December 11th. I will note that today is Indiana's birthday. I grew up in Indiana, and it's the day that Indiana got statehood, but I don't know if it's an auspicious day for any other reason. But today we have convened for the special meeting to talk about the strategic plan for the year 2024 for the Bike Walk Commission. I'm pleased to have gotten to this point because last year in this process, we did not even get to this point by having a special meeting to discuss the strategic plan.
Tanner, we do
Yeah.
have an attendee, Diane Laratello, that has her hand up. I don't know if you want me to unmute or.
Oh, Diane. Hello, Diane. We're strictly speaking, we're not taking public comment as part of this meeting, but I will let Diane introduce herself and say hi.
Good evening, Tanner. I'm sorry, I quickly looked at the agenda and thought I just wanted to celebrate that you are doing a strategic plan, and that's terrific. And I will email at your next meeting, I'll email some thoughts about some projects I would like to bring forth in the coming year. So thank you for having a strategic plan.
Yes, you're very welcome. Thanks for coming in. In case it's unclear, I'm kind of distinguishing between public comment and introductions because if we were doing this in person, I think that anybody who was in the audience, I'd let them introduce themselves. But if they then had prepared comments, I'd ask them to save them to the next meeting. So Diane, thank you for coming. Thanks for supporting us. And I look forward to reading whatever you have to say. And I think we all know Ben, but Ben, if you want to introduce yourself, you can.
I just am actually promoting him to panelist.
Oh, okay. I just got a text from Christine. She says she never got confirmation. Based on the fact that 3 commissioners are here, I think Greg, I imagine you did send out all the invites.
I usually don't send them out. They usually come from IT, but or from the mayor's office, I should say. But I also sent an email out to everybody that Judd replied to was on that email saying that you're having.
But that didn't have the panelist link.
Do you want me? I can send her another link.
Yeah, that'd be great, especially if it's a panelist link. But I guess you can always just promote her if she shows up otherwise.
Okay, I just sent it to her.
Thanks, Celine. And there she is. Welcome, Christine.
Hi, sorry about that. I am sorry. I've been super busy, so thank you for the reminder, Tanner.
Yeah, you're welcome. So now we do have a quorum. I don't have the agenda pulled up in front of me. Which was listed first on the agenda, the voting on the minutes or the strategic plan discussion?
The strategic plan was the first.
Okay. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that we can vote now before we potentially lose our quorum. I'll entertain a motion to vote on the minutes from the last meeting. Actually, from the meeting before last, the November meeting. Manny, thank you. Any discussion or second?
I second.
Thanks, Nick. Any discussion? Christine also seconds. That just leaves me. Okay, we've all voted. Thanks always to Deline for
Tanner's frozen.
Tanner froze.
Yeah, Tanner is frozen.
There you go.
You're
He's
back.
Okay. Yes, thanks to Deline as always, but especially tonight for taking notes at our special meeting.
You're
So,
welcome.
without further ado, we do not have a strategic plan. We started down the process last year to make a strategic plan for the year and never finished. And we picked it back up this year. I talked to Manny ahead of time because one of the reasons that I submitted Manny's name to the commission is because he has some experience in the nonprofit realm, in the volunteer work realm. And I talked to him a little bit about his experience, and he says that he's done some of this like strategic planning before, for like a similar type of group. And between that and the fact that he's pretty fresh and I think would be a good person to build consensus, I've asked him to facilitate the discussion tonight. I'm also going to put a Google Doc up on the screen that we're going to basically use as a virtual whiteboard, or that we can use as a virtual whiteboard. And it has the added benefit of being capturable, so that we can take whatever we put on it and save it for later. I'll go ahead and send the link out. I'll put it in the can I put it in the chat? I can put it in Q&A. Oh, I can't contribute to Q&A. Okay, I'm going to just email it out to everybody who's here then. Delane, am I missing something? Is there a chat that I can use or no?
It doesn't look like it, Tanner.
Okay. Okay, we got me, Manny, Nick, Christine, Greg, Julia. Julia, are you with us? Do you want to introduce yourself? I mean, I think everybody knows you, but I feel like we haven't heard from you in a hot minute.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Julia Green. I'm the Health Education Associate at the Norwalk Health Department. So I'm here to serve as put a health department perspective into things if you guys need help with anything. And that's pretty much it.
Thanks for joining tonight. Okay, I have just sent out a whoops. I've just sent out a document. Check your email. It's the same one that I'm sharing here on the screen. And like I said, my intention is to use this as kind of a whiteboard. Actually, Manny had this idea to have some sort of virtual whiteboard. I think I'll turn the time over to Manny.
Hi, everybody. Everybody can hear me all right. I have my ears and I'm at a different public library today. And so I was just gonna first also just say, if there's anything that I say that sounds like it's already been discussed in the past, please feel free to chime in and like correct me on that, because clearly I'm bringing a fresh perspective, and so that means that it's pretty fresh. And then secondly, out of the respect at a time, I think the email Greg sent said that we would stop at 8, and so I really want to respect that time. And so I imagine that we're not going to get through all the parts of a strategic plan tonight, but I definitely hope that we can land somewhere in having some kind of idea for determining our position, if that makes sense. And again, if that's something that we've already done in the past, please chime in and say, hey, we already did this part, because I don't want to repeat things. I kind of want to keep the momentum going if there was already something that happened last year with your strategic plan. But I know one of the things, one of the documents that Tanner sent me, one of the goals of the strategic plan is how the bike walk fits into the city, right? And also trying to define that. And I was going to try to put one, like what we'd call the vision of the bike walk commission into the chat, but I don't think it's possible. But if this is the correct one, I'm going to read it. And I kind of just want I
You
just
talking
want to
about this
hear like,
plan?
what's that?
You talking about the ordinance?
No, not in the ordinance. This is in one
Oh.
of the documents.
This
Would
is
you
our
rather?
document from last year, our draft.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And so, um, I think what I want to do first is just read the vision and the purpose and kind of start on where, like, what stands out to us in those parts. Because we're going to break it down a little more.
To be
with,
clear, this was just like some stuff that we discussed last year, but this was never like formalized or finalized.
Okay, perfect. So why don't we just start then, completely scrap that. And I do want to see like what's the closest thing to a vision that we have, if we have one. If we don't, then that's what we're working on. And so what I will start off with was just pose a question of what are the issues the Bike Walk Commission is trying to address?
Sorry,
think-
I just had to step out and I'm sorry. I've had a lot going on. Sorry, Manny.
No
And I
worries.
appreciate you taking the lead on this. I may have missed this, but Tanner, we always met with the mayor, with Nancy. We had a document, and the one that was just on the screen, if we could go back to that we fleshed out of the other one. So I'd rather, like, we have a lot of this done. Like, I don't know
Oh,
if we
cool.
need to invent the wheel like this. Like, I wouldn't minimize this document here. We worked hard on this, and we worked hard on the one that we presented with the mayor. You know, and it had good points in it. I don't know, it's a lot of work to have gotten to this part. So why wouldn't we use this?
I think we can use parts of it.
Okay,
But I'm gonna defer to Manny here because he's the facilitator.
right, but you just went to a blank page.
So this document that we're looking at now is like a virtual whiteboard. This is I'm taking notes here. As we brainstorm, I'm gonna put everybody's brainstorming ideas here.
Okay, but-
We're not trying to like write a plan in this page right here.
Okay, but we already I think we have our mission, right? We have our mission statement. We've had it for,
So maybe I should summarize from my perspective, what we have and what we did last year. Manny, does that sound okay?
Sure. Yeah, please do.
So the only thing that we've had that's been formalized is we have this, which is the city's ordinance. It's in the city charter. We have purpose, powers, and duties. The Bike Walk Commission supports bicycling and walking as safe, accessible, and sustainable forms of transportation and recreation that increase the city of Norwalk's livability and economic vitality and improve public and environmental health. And then we have listed out 5 things and then 2 additional things that form our purpose. We can dig into them. I think we should dig into them, but essentially it's to promote complete streets and facilities, to kind of own the bicycle plan, the pedestrian plan, to advise on the implementation of the POCD, and to advise on projects having to do with walking and biking. And then these other 2, like additional, the commission may also do public awareness and education and conduct research and seek grants. We also have a charge to provide annual reports to the Common Council, which we haven't done in my time, but I think it would be a lot easier to do that if we had a plan that kind of guides our work. And then this just says we can't step on toes. So that's what we have that's like formalized into law. What we worked on last year was this document, which has a vision statement. It has a purpose, which we copied from the city's ordinance. We have responsibilities, which was an attempt to outline like what it is that the commission does, as opposed to why it exists. I think the purpose was kind of why it exists. The responsibilities was like what actual work it does in practice. And this is kind of to distinguish it from city departments like TMP, and also to distinguish it from like independent grassroots groups like Sustainable Streets. And then the goals were more of a time-bound thing of like, what do we want to get done this year? What milestones do we want to hit this year? And we had a couple different slates of goals. For example, complete the bicycle-friendly community application, which we actually did. That was a goal that we never like, we never enshrined this, we never voted on this plan, but we did talk about it, and so that's one of the goals that we accomplished. Here's a different slate that was kind of organized differently, that had some categories. We talked about values. I think this down here was kind of more of a brainstorming idea. We had the bicycle co-op, which is not actually part of the commission, but that has had a good relationship, but is also now kind of defunct at the moment. And then we had a bunch of brainstorming ideas.
So Tanner, let's go back to, can you guys hear me all right? I think
Yeah.
I'm gonna get kicked out of this library if I talk too loud. So, can you take me back to some of the things that we've already accomplished from this last document? Like, what are what are the things that we did accomplish last year through this document?
Like goals that we met.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to put this over here. I'm gonna write them out as I kind of call them out. So like 2023 accomplishments. We completed the bike friendly communities application.
I would put just so if we're making this formal, that it's the league, spell it all out. League of American Bicyclists, community application, community friendly.
I don't think we're at that point yet. This is just like
Okay,
this
fair
is
enough.
to bring us
Fair
all up to
enough.
speed.
We had open streets, bike month,
Oh yeah, bike month.
How
we had
many,
open
how,
streets.
how many events did we put on or participate in the community last year? Like from like January to December of
Yeah, was the
2023.
film last year or was it the year before? The
No, the
film,
film was last year. It was Friday, March 3rd. I have the poster up in my office here. So this was like mid-May. This was film. It was called The Street Project. I feel like I actually, a few months ago, I think I wrote out like a big list of accomplishments.
This is the part where I wish we were in person, because I feel like when we look at what we've accomplished this last year, it would have been helpful to then put these different accomplishments into different buckets that align with our either like what our responsibilities, or what you want to call it, responsibilities, vision, or goals, whatever you want to call it, that the Bike Walk Commission is supposed to do, and which we kind of can. Like, this kind of fell into the education bucket, this fell into the advocacy bucket, this fell into that sort of thing.
I mean,
I feel like that.
We could do that still in here. We could maybe like, I guess I'm not sharing this anymore. Let me move this over here. We could highlight it in a certain color. We could put like a little tag in front of it like this. That kind of stuff.
We also did Bike to Work Week.
Yep.
The open street account, we already have them.
We also, in May, part of our bike month initiative, we did the celebration of trail progress, which I think was like the first week in May.
Was Bike Walk Commission the stuff happening at the beer garden? No, right? That wasn't Bike.
That was Sustainable Streets.
Okay. We attended different city functions, right? Like the celebration of trail progress, also the new, like the school thing we went to, Tanner, I forgot what it was called.
Oh, the walk audit at Fox Run. Yeah, we didn't like help plan that event. We just kind of attended.
Okay.
Similarly, there was a walk audit that Christina and I attended for the Complete Streets demonstration project on North Main Street.
Yep.
I think that's worth putting because I think that can fall into one of those, like what I said, buckets, right? Of like what we've done, and if it pushes,
Yep.
if it basically is moving the dial into what we're trying to become and be. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah. Christine, do you remember what time of year that was? I want to say it was a couple months ago. I guess Greg would also remember.
It was in the summer. It was in August.
Yeah, it was in August.
We did Earth Day too.
Yeah, we had a table at Earth Day. I'm
And
gonna
we had community rides.
tabled at events. We did Earth Day in April, and we did
Well, I would detail that, like community rides, and you also had the co-op, you had repairs, and you had disseminating information on bike education. We did all those things. And we
Yeah.
also disseminate information on our upcoming events.
this is not NNO. This is NNO. Norwalk Night Out. Norwalk Night Out is September, right?
National Night Out. It's called National Night Out.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
think it's 10th of
national day.
Yeah.
Yep. That was, I feel like that was August. No, maybe it was September this year. Yeah, it's always supposed to be in August, but they had it in September.
And
That's
like
where I met Manny. Right, Manny? That's where we met.
mhm. We distributed literature and we distributed like helmets and other things.
Yeah.
Did you distribute bike locks at that? No.
No, we did not.
Okay.
We also did the bike ride with the Norwalk Tree Alliance in February.
That's right. Yeah, as we do this, I feel like we've done this already. I think for the application, for the bike friendly communities application, I feel like I already went through an exercise like this.
Sorry, and Greg, maybe, did we write any letters of support to people? Or,
I certainly did.
yeah,
Yes,
that should
yes,
be
you
on
guys
here.
did write letters of support.
And Tanner, you had those social events. Does that count?
The sustainable street stuff, I think it was good for walking and biking in Norwalk, but it wasn't commissioned. Like I've tried to draw a hard line between what Sustainable Streets is doing because it's like independent and what the commission's doing. Although obviously there's cross-pollination between the two. Oh, okay, I found it. I found it. This was the working doc that we were using when we were filling out the application for the bicycle friendly communities. And here's everything that came to mind as I was filling this out. I was saying this is something we could present to the Common Council. Commission achievements and related TMP achievements. You know, anything that was good for walking and biking in Norwalk. So like in December of last year, for example, there was the release of the draft transportation master plan and there was the CVU app project launch. Both of those were TMP things. In March, we did the street project screening. We did the Tree Alliance bike ride, which according to this was actually in March. The missing link was mostly completed. And then we did the celebration of trail progress, Earth Day, Complete Streets kickoff. Was that was just I don't think that was a public meeting. That was just a steering committee meeting, but it was like a milestone, certainly. But it was more of a TMP thing. NRVT Belden Ave crossing, that was just completed, by the way, Greg, it looks great. I've gone out and checked it out. Oh, the raise grant for the NRVT. I do remember writing a letter of support for that. I think around that time, around the middle of the year, like June, July, I wrote like 3 letters of support on behalf of the Bike Walk Commission.
So Tanner, do you want to name them specifically, or do you just want to?
Yeah, I think for the purposes of brainstorming, just like remembering what they were.
I know one was for the community connectivity grant, for the Hospital Hill Village enhancements.
Yep.
There was
Which
that
we
one.
won.
And the other one, I believe, was for the Lotsa project for the roundabout. I believe.
The roundabout at
Um,
multiple, right? Didn't we apply for one for?
well, it was one was for Richards Ave at West Cedar.
Yes, by NCC, by the
Yes.
college formerly known as NCC.
Yep. Oh, the other one was I believe it was for I think it was for reconnecting communities, which was West Avenue, between the mall and West Avenue, I believe. But let me double check on that.
Oh, yes, that was the redevelopment agency.
Yes, that was the redevelopment agency. Yep.
So, if we were to sort these out, would you say all of these fall in line with the goals of the organization, or even like the vision, mission, purpose of the organization, or whatever you call it within the city, what the city's requiring us to do? And so then I'll ask that question first. And then I'll follow up with just a reflection question. And that reflection question is like, where do we feel really good about where we're at as an organization? Those are 2 different questions, I understand.
I mean, I think that if I were to pick a single accomplishment of the commission this year, it was the bike friendly communities application. I think that was the thing that took the single most work. And I think Bike Month would be number 2. You know, we had like several, I guess these are not Bike Month. But we had 3 distinct events that we pulled off all in the same month and all kind of coordinated together, and it was a lot of work.
Hey,
Where
Tanner,
would-
oh, sorry, Manny, when do we hear back for it's this month, right? We hear back?
It was supposed to be this month. I got an email a week or 2 ago saying that they are going to do it in January,
Oh, okay.
which is a
And
bummer.
Tanner, what bucket would you say those things fall into within the
Within
the
this,
vision? Yeah.
well, let's go one at a time. So the bike friendly communities application would it's not really a grant, but it's kind of grant like. It's also to some degree once the awards are announced, especially if we win, you know, if we earn some level of the award, it will be really good for public awareness. But you could also say that it falls under the category of promoting facilities for bicycles. And it's when I first joined the commission, I read a bunch of the POCD. I haven't done that in a while, but like conceivably it could be in there, but I don't think it is. So I think because there's a lot of overlap between these different categories, like in the way that I mentioned, I think that's part of what drove me to to write out this like responsibilities section, which again, we never officially adopted, but like, if we look at this, maybe it fits in better. Well, it doesn't, never mind.
I want to give Christine and Nick time to think, but also like, please, share kind of your thoughts. I'm curious to hear, Christine, where do you feel the most satisfied in what what the organization has done or what is doing? And where do you see that fall into the buckets of like wherever, I'm calling it buckets, but like wherever like and I'm gonna call it the vision mission, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I mean, one thing I feel proud of, I mean, is that we have a full commission. Like we filled our vacancies and there was some openings for a little bit.
Well, we still have an opening.
We have that's what I thought, one opening, but I mean, I think that's kind of a very positive. And Manny, thank you for facilitating and thank you for asking. I feel really positive about, I think that open streets event, I thought that was huge. I mean, I know I didn't do the bulk of that application, and so I think that's huge. I think it'll be huge when we get the award. And I feel like we have a good chance of getting an award, but I just feel like I also think that one of our biggest strengths is, and I'm pretty sure this came out in the application, is our ability to have partnerships. Like Greg is on all these meetings. I mean, it's amazing that we have city employees here dedicated, every month they're here. Jolene is here. Like, I think that's amazing. So that to me is the greatest, is to keep the glue. We have the glue here. And I think it's a very hard, having been on many committees, it's not easy at all. So that to me is the greatest thing.
Thank you for sharing that. Nick, where would you say you feel the most satisfied with what we've done so far within the year with the organization, and where do you,
I would probably give it a tie between the bike month events and the letters of support.
Can you guys expand a little bit more on the letters of support? I'm sorry. Oh, is that when we advocate, right? The advocacy piece?
Sort of. These are like the support, or rather the letters that we wrote to state that we show support to departments like TMP, and say that they can that they're worthy of receiving grant money from the state or whatnot, or federal grant money. I feel like that's like directly relates to one of the roles that's outlined on the website, and also it feels a little more like an official way to contribute towards infrastructure in the city. So that's why I find it a little more satisfying, if you will.
Cool, thanks for sharing. Anybody else from the commission, Tanner? Anybody else that whose input we should listen to on the meeting call?
I'd love to hear from Julia.
Okay.
Julia, are you there? She may have had to step out. And I think we should hear from Greg as well.
I'm sorry, Tanner, I'm here.
Oh, sorry. I said Julia, not Jolene, although the confusion.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you want to chime in, what do you think the successes of the Bike Walk Commission? You've been at every meeting, after all.
Oh, that's up to the professionals.
Greg?
You're a professional. You're a professional.
Thank you.
Darlene is very professional, so we're very fortunate to
Thank
have
you
her, that's for
guys.
sure.
Thank you guys.
No, I think just Nick definitely said it, just having the support, especially when we apply for grants, just having mission, provide insight and support for projects as well comes a long way, because a lot of components with any grant that we apply for is the public input. And, having the support of the Bike Walk Commission, is just an integral piece in getting those, because a grant, whoever the grant funders are, they want to see the public support. So having that, I think that's integral. And, I think just participating in as many public events as possible, especially, piggybacking off of other city events as well. Trying to get involved in as many of those as possible where, a crowd of people are. And then, off of those, you can kind of create your own events. I know you did the open street event, and, it's something that we can look forward to doing more, maybe even like a bike rodeo or, something along those events, are definitely important. And then how the education kind of ties into those as well. So I think those are just a few items.
Anybody else want to share? Thanks, Greg.
Mhm.
Well, I'm kind of,
Sorry, one more
Yes.
thing. I think, and going on what Greg just said, there is what is the term I'm looking for? I think it was in the one we drafted last year. It's not like watchdog, but it's not consultants, but like when we talk with Greg, like Colin, we would point out like, hey, like West Rocks, like is that all that work that was done over there, and the school that Colin brought up, like not watchdogs, but
Advisor?
it's an advisor. I mean, Greg may feel like what do we serve at? Like, what would the term be for that? That we're serving as not a watchdog, but I guess advisor.
accountability.
No, there's a word. I'll think of it. It's not advisor.
But you think it's a word that made it into our work last year?
I thought I saw it there towards the bottom. Is it possible to make this a little bit bigger, the font?
How about that?
Oh yeah, that's much better. Thank you. So you have fielding concerns. Oh, is it not advocacy? Oh, I just had it in my head, not advocates. Oh, I'll think of it. Well, you have advocacy there. Increasing awareness, all these things. It's like one thing I'm thinking of. A word. I don't want to hold up Manny here with his questioning.
No, you're good. Can we go back to that responsibilities spot really fast?
The doc from last year?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah, so as everybody was talking, I was trying to do my own little like buckets thing. And honestly, it looks like a lot of the things we shared that we feel good about and that we've accomplished in our goals fit into those responsibilities, like
In these 6?
advise. Yeah, and these 6 responsibilities, like advocating, advising, the watchdog thing, awareness, community engagement, and so I feel like those are really, I would say, positive and strong things that we are doing as a Bike Walk Commission, and we are moving the dial on. So with all that said, I kind of want to now become a negative Nancy of sorts and talk, because I feel like
We don't
within,
use the term Nancy to describe negative people in this commission.
I'm sorry, because of
Out of
Nancy.
respect for our former chair.
I mean, and I feel like within talking about what we're satisfied with, we did talk about our strengths. But if anybody else wants to add any more of the strengths that the organization does have.
I fell behind on the notes here. I want to make sure I capture, at least at a high level, all the strengths that we mentioned. I got Christine's comment about representation from different groups and departments, and we're the glue. Nick mentioned one of our strengths is letters of support. And Greg, you kind of spoke to that as well. I mentioned the bike-friendly community application and the bike month.
Yeah,
I think the community events.
Yeah,
and bringing people together.
community partnerships. That's what I was trying to articulate before. We're very good at that.
I agree. I agree 100%. I think we're really good at collaborating and partnering and trying to bring people together from different disciplines in different parts of the city. And so I think that's in the fact of like city people and that sort of thing. So I kind of want to talk about two things next is, you know, we kind of shared our strengths. I kind of want to hear like, where do we see some of the, I'm not going to call them weaknesses, some are our grows or some of our blind spots. And then after that, I want to identify some, like maybe some of the threats that kind of keep us from that. And maybe you can even, if you want to, you can jump onto some of the goals that we haven't accomplished yet as part of that as well. Since, you know, I wasn't here last year to see all the goals, but I just want to open it up for discussions.
So are we doing all of that at once or just doing one part at a time?
You know what? Let's talk about the weaknesses first. But actually, let's talk about, let's go with the weaknesses and things that the grows part where we feel like we can grow. And take your time in thinking about this, because these are like introspective questions, you know.
So I don't know if you would categorize this as a weakness or as a constraint, but I have always felt like the commission is quite constrained by the limitations on how we can do business. The fact, for example, that we have to meet on Zoom like this, the fact that anytime that we meet with a quorum, that it has to be a publicly noticed meeting. I think those are the two big, I mean, the kind of a consequence of the latter one is that we can't really do much over email. And previously, Nancy Rosette, our previous chair, was very careful about that. And so I've continued to try and be careful about that as well. But that's honestly part of what led me and others to form Sustainable Streets, because we felt like there was work that could much more easily get done if people could meet on their own and be more flexible and more organic, and also not subject to I guess that this is both a strength and a weakness, right? Or an opportunity and a constraint. And that is the formality with which the commission can approach things. It means that the commission can't do stuff that would like tarnish that formality, right? The commission has to be more measured in like what it says, but I think that also lends legitimacy to the commission. And an outside group can play more fast and loose with that because that they don't have the same expectations.
Anybody else want to share?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, Julia, welcome.
Okay, sorry. I don't know what was happening last time. I was talking and it kept unmuting, but it wasn't unmuting. I would say a weakness that I feel like is lack of public knowledge of the commission. I think if we had more public input on certain things, it would make events better for us, because I know we try to get out there in the community to do events and let people know about us and provide the education and stuff. But I feel like if we could get in the community more involved in the commission by, you know, getting more attendees to attend our meetings and stuff, we'd probably get more out of the community, what the community actually needs coming from them, you know. That's something that's kind of hard for us to control, but I think getting out as much as possible would probably help us.
Yeah, I think a consequence of this was that when we did the Open Street event, I think it was a good event, kind of at its core. It was like the direction that we want to move in, but we weren't able to publicize it to the point where a lot of people like came because they knew about it. Most of the people who used the Open Street, at least in my anecdotal experience, were people who were on their way to the beach anyway and just like happened to show up.
Thanks for sharing that, Jayla. Any other thoughts on our areas of growth, Christine or Nick or Greg?
I like what Julia said. I think though that there's some things that I think we all do. We look at some social media and we see some of the complaints about the bike lanes and there's too many and I never see cyclists in these lanes, that kind of negativity. And I don't know if there's an antidote for that, how to address that, because some people are gonna always be naysayers. There's a smaller percent, but maybe less likely if we do educating people. I don't know how we would do that. The other thing is diversity. We try with our diverse board, but I don't know. I would like to see more minorities in the city kind of a part of our work and feel like this is for them too, like not segregated.
I
don't-
totally agree, Christine.
I was actually going to mention that in our strengths, specifically because this year we added 2 Hispanic commissioners and they're here tonight. So thank you for being here. But the Hispanic community is the community that I feel like has been, like in modern Norwalk, in today's Norwalk, is the most underrepresented. And so that's why I was particularly excited to find Nick and Manny. And it has led directly to, I think, better engagement when we do events because you both speak Spanish. You're able to interact with people at our tables who speak Spanish. Not that the rest of us couldn't speak Spanish, but we don't.
Yeah, no, I think we've definitely got, it's better and it's, but I think we have to just be aware of it. And there is a group here that's not represented and it's a large part in Norwalk,
And that's the Black community.
correct?
Yeah, I've
And,
Messing around
and
for
the
the people
differently
too.
abled community.
yes, actually, this is kind of an aside, but I have a lead there. A new neighbor of mine moved in, and he's low vision. He's legally blind, and uses a walking stick, like I forget what they're called, but not a cane, but the kind. I think you do call it a cane, but the one that you hold out in front to detect obstacles and barriers and stuff. And he has expressed interest in coming to the commission meetings and even doing a walk where he kind of shows people like what the experience of walking somewhere is like from his point of view. He doesn't drive because he's legally blind, so he walks a lot of places. He's had good things to say, by the way, about the transit district. Apparently, they have a service that for people with mobility impairments that is really useful for him. Anyway, that's an aside, but point is, I'm working on that as well. He hasn't been able to come to our meetings though because he works during the time when we hold our meetings, which is a bummer.
I hope I'm not putting people on the spot, but just because we're such a small group, I do want to hear everybody's input. So Greg and Nick, whenever you're ready, feel free to chime in.
Yeah, I'll chime in. I think we're already kind of on it with like the newly formed education committee, if you will. But like I think an opportunity for growth is kind of the education aspect. Because it kind of when Emily prepared that document with the different Facebook comments as a response to the green bike boxes, if you will, on the road leading into the Seaview Ave. I'm forgetting the name right now, but
Van Zandt?
well, the ones by Veterans Park, you know?
Fort Point. Sorry, it's Fort Point.
That's what it is. Yeah, that kind of brought to light the fact that like we could be more what's the word? There's opportunities for us to bring education in a more like loud and public sense, if you will. Like Instagram and Facebook posts will like reach certain audiences, but I remember Ben even brought up like buying up ad space to like on the roads to those people who are driving by those green bike lanes. Maybe they see an ad at that bus stop that like explains how they get used. I thought that was a really good idea. And the fact that we have like a committee for this, I think shows that we're paying more attention to this, and like already addressing these situations, if you will. But I think that's an area to grow for sure.
That sounds like an opportunity. I'm going to take the liberty of putting that in the opportunities column. I don't really know how to phrase that a weakness. It's just like something we could do that we're not doing yet.
Thanks, thanks for sharing, Nick. Greg, any thoughts, any areas of improvement or that sort of thing?
No, I think everybody, pretty much called everything out. I think, the lack of public knowledge is a big thing because, you guys are unlike any other commission within the city. You don't formally vote on, formal city business or any applications. You guys are more of an advocacy group. And I think just getting the word out and letting people understand what your mission is. And, I think it goes a long way to look at what other cities do as well. I know, Tanner, you talked with Jerry Sibler a little bit, who kind of, did a lot of work in Stanford, for the bike advocacy group there. So just identifying what other cities do, try not to reinvent the wheel per se, and seeing how, how they, how they go about, education, or how they go about getting word out or doing events, and what they do to, to harness a larger population of people who may not understand what you guys do, and, and how they can, maybe get involved in it as well.
So I think, Greg, you're addressing important points, but it's reminding me of another thing that I would probably mention in the weakness column, and that is that I don't see us as an advocacy group because we are an official organ of the city. I think, and maybe we're using the term advocacy group differently, but like People Friendly Stanford, which is the group that Jerry's affiliated with, most of their work is not work where they're trying to educate the public, the broad public on issues of walking and biking. They're much more targeted, and they're kind of facing the other direction. They represent the interests of people who walk and bike to the city, and they're trying to, and also they work a lot on housing as well. And I've kind of, as I've put a lot of energy into building up this new group, Sustainable Streets, I've kind of patterned Sustainable Streets after what PFS does. PFS is completely independent of the city of Stanford. They are grassroots. And they are city facing in the sense that they are holding the city accountable. They are advocating to the city, calling the city out, calling the state out even. They had a pretty strongly worded letter that they published about some pedestrian deaths that occurred, I think, earlier this year, where they basically called out ConnDOT, and they were like, this is ConnDOT's fault. We need to hold them accountable. And like, that's not something that I think that the Bike Walk Commission here in Norwalk should do, because I think we would get our hands slapped, right? We're not going to call ConnDOT out unless they're, and certainly not on something that happens in Stanford. But even if we have like a pedestrian death in Norwalk, heaven forbid, somebody gets hit by a car on a state road, I think that a group needs to exist that will like have some strong language for ConnDOT, but I'm not sure that the Bike Walk Commission is it. But I could be wrong. What do you think, Greg?
No, I mean, you guys are, you still are an arm of the city. You are an official commission. So I think that's something that, I think it's hard to say that you guys can just send a letter, on your own and say, yeah, we're going to fight for this without, obviously having the city support, because you guys are part of the city, arm. So, yeah, I don't know how we would really approach that. Hopefully we don't have to get to a point like that where we have to, send a letter because of a pedestrian fatality.
Yeah,
so
but I'm just
hope it
using
doesn't come to that.
I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah,
So
no, it's fair.
I guess I think that this angle of like, are we public facing or are we city facing is a useful lens, and I think the commission does kind of need to do both. But Sustainable Streets and People Friendly Stanford, as like independent grassroots advocacy groups, they are more explicitly targeted at advocating to the city government. And the Bike Walk Commission, especially now with a new TMP administration, now that Jim and Garrett have arrived, and they are like more proactive about including bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure into projects and like treating them as first class means of transportation. That's kind of work that the Bike Walk Commission used to have to do and doesn't have to do as much of anymore. And I think that that's kind of what has opened up the avenue potentially for us to do more stuff related to education. But I'm a little sidetracked. I want to make sure I'm going somewhere with this.
So really, sorry,
Yeah,
I'll
go
let
ahead,
you
Manny.
finish your thought, Tanner. So are there any other opportunities that we're seeing or that we can think of? Because I know they got kind of a little convoluted, which is not a bad thing. I feel like, things kind of flow in and out of different categories. And then also, are there any other threats that we perceive in accomplishing what we're trying to do?
Christine?
Yeah, thanks.
I'm not the leader.
Oh, did Greg want to talk?
No, I called on you, but I'm not the facilitator. I should have let Manny call on you.
Okay. All right. So I would like to see this document, what we decide is going to be the strategic plan, to be prioritized as a commission, because we need to be held accountable by the city. We've all mayor appointed. That's an honor. And we are not accountable right now. We are really not sharing, like with the mayor, we're not sharing at the common council meetings. And this can be something that this is a real piece of our work, is a quarterly review of are we reaching our milestones? We create these milestones, and are we reaching them? And then getting that out to the public as part of the promotion of our group and what we've accomplished. Like, remember, Tanner, I think you were on at the time when we would write letters, and Greg, maybe were you on? We would write letters to the Norwalk Hour, like, we have new bike paths on, wherever, or we did the road diet on by the Norwalk Hospital and narrowed the road to slow the traffic. These were all highlighted for the public. So that's what I'd like to see happen moving
So-
forward.
Sorry, go ahead, Manny.
Oh, no, I didn't have anything else. Yeah.
I was just going to digest what Christine said a little bit. That she mentioned at least two different things. One of them is the idea of being held accountable by some sort of accountability process. You mentioned something quarterly, Christine, that might be something that we used to do. I'm not familiar with it. The only thing that's in the city charter is or the ordinance is that we provide annual reports to the common council, which we have not been doing and we should do.
Yeah,
So, at the very
my
least, we can start
comment
with
was
that.
just a mechanism to make sure the work gets done. I think that's why there was a quarterly review, not that it was required. I'll forward the document, that just so everybody has kind of a reference that I'm kind of going on. But Tanner, no, not quarterly presentation of the common council. I would think, I don't even know how that works. If
But
other
you're
people
saying the
do
quarterly
that,
thing happened in one of our meetings?
yes, internal quarterly review of the strategic plan.
So I'm gonna jump around because not really for time's sake, because I feel like we can always have a second meeting, but just because you guys have kind of already done a lot of this work in the past last year, and to kind of so in this whole process. But I would say, like, I think then Christine actually brought a good keyword, which is priorities. And so, like, looking at our strengths, looking at our weaknesses, the opportunities we have, and even just like some of the threats, where should we set our priorities as an organization? Where are these priorities that we have? And we can even reference, Tanner, some of the old goals that maybe we haven't accomplished and they still feel relevant,
I mean, I think that we should go back all the way to here.
Okay.
But admittedly, like, some of these are work streams that have been dropped for a while. In particular, these two. Like, I'm not 100% sure what these refer to. frankly. That I know that when I joined the commission, that there was a bicycle subcommittee that was like Colin and Judd and Greg, and I started sitting in on those meetings as well. And before I joined, that group, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but a group that consisted at least mostly of those three had established a bicycle master plan, or maybe it predated them, but essentially the meetings that I was able to sit in on were had a lot to do with the paving schedule, because at the time the strategy was that we were going to implement the master bike plan by just getting bike lanes painted when roads are being repaved. But that's the extent to which I know that we even have a master bicycle plan, and I don't know that we've done anything with it since Jim and Garrett showed up.
No, we have done a lot that was in the master bike plan. You know,
But I mean the commission. I'm
oh, the
not-
commission you're saying. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I know that you guys have continued the march and
Yeah.
if anything, done a lot more since Jim and Garrett showed up. But the Bike Walk Commission has not acted on this purpose of ours. We have not reviewed, promoted, or updated the bike plan, as far as I know.
I can say it is out of date as well. The master bike plan.
Greg, is that the one that they paid consultants to do, that they had that report out, was like in a binder?
Correct. Yeah, it came out in 2012, I believe.
Yeah, it was a whole group, organization, architects or engineers, but I think that's on the city website somewhere.
Yeah, it
too.
was an engineering consulting firm that did it. I believe at the time it was Fitzgerald and Holiday that did it.
Yeah, that's right.
Who is
yeah.
now FHI Studios, who did our new master plan, as
Uh-huh.
well as our complete streets implementation as well right now.
And it's on the city website, that the prior one, I believe. somewhere.
Correct. Yep. That one
Is that the
and
one
the
from
old
2012? Greg?
master plan. Yeah, right around that
Yeah,
time.
that's it.
Yeah, I found it when I was filling out the bike friendly communities application, and I think I talked to you and Kyle about it, and y'all mentioned that you were making steady progress on it. But like I haven't been plugged in, and I think the commission has not been plugged into that enough to know to like be tracking that progress.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that projects that were called out in there that we have implemented. You know, we have taken to the next level as well. So you know, and with the paving schedule and you know, with any other road, you know, we always look you know, for accommodation for bike facilities, any road when it gets repaved.
So just to take the bike plan as an example of you know, this larger kind of category of work that we haven't been doing, Greg, do you know what the timeline looks like for the draft transportation master plan to be finalized, and then for like does TMP intend to like bring a consultant in again, kind of on a 10-year cadence to replace what we had in 2012 and update it, or is that the kind of thing that you're going to look to the Bike Walk Commission to do?
As far as the master plan, we're going to look to wrap it up, you know, over the winter time, you know, and get that done, because it's, you know, the draft plan, you know, we had our public meeting, you know, so we just have to finalize some of the outstanding items in it just to complete it. And then as far as the bike plan, we haven't discussed it about rewriting it. It may be something that, you know, we may look at in the years coming, but you know, the master plan we want to finalize, and you know, obviously right now with complete streets, those are kind of our two main drivers right now to get those two completed before we look at you know, if we want to do a bike and ped plan going forward.
Do you think it would make sense between now and whenever we maybe do bring a consultant in to do a bike plan master plan? It sounds like that'll be a year out at least. Do you think it makes sense for the commission to kind of do an update to review what we have, to at least kind of make a formal judgment of like where we're lacking and what we might want out of what a consultant would do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely worthwhile for the commission members to look at the the existing master plan or the existing bike and ped plan. And then you can, look at projects that we have done, especially if, for those of you who haven't seen it yet. I think it's definitely worthwhile. So you could just see how it's structured and what it outlines. Obviously, it outlines specific projects and there's project needs and those areas that need certain facilities. So I think it's definitely worthwhile to look at those and get a better understanding of it.
And would you say that everything you just said is also broadly applies to the pedestrian plan as well? That it
Well, it's a bike and pedestrian plan together. It's
Oh, okay.
it's one document.
Gotcha. So yeah, Manny, to cease my derailment, I think that one goal that we could set in 2024 would be to do this review, to do like a bike walk commission official review of the at this point almost 12-year-old bike ped plan, and maybe come to some conclusions about how well it served us and what's missing from it, what we would want out of like a refresh.
Would we want to do that for this specific one? Would we want to make it a SMART goal, or is that too premature to do that? So like the commission would review the bike pedestrian plan by September of 2024.
I think it's worth considering. I don't think we need to nail it down today, but yeah, I think that conceivably that could be a good SMART goal to put into our strategic plan.
Okay, because I think some of the other priorities that I heard even from just looking at what all the things we previously discussed, obviously are the education piece, the diversity, kind of creating more stakeholders that reflect the whole community of Norwalk. And then I would even say like the continued I feel like we're doing a great job, to be honest, in my opinion, of moving the dial on the advocacy part, the community engagement, and advising the government, like the city, and things. But I think to put a little more teeth, and this is where I don't know what the right approach is, but but for tonight, for some of these, it'd be great to do some SMART goals for some of these priorities that we have. And we can even examine some of the goals that we made last year and see what didn't we accomplish, and do we scratch those, or do we add those to the new priorities list?
So let me make sure I captured since I'm taking notes, I captured all the high level categories. We talked about the bike ped plan. You mentioned education, you mentioned diversity and representation. That's as far as I followed you. You're muted.
Just broadly speaking, I feel like those are the bigger, like the things that we really felt like areas of improvement, areas of growth, where we need to like do something. And I think we're doing something already for some of these, but it sounded like these are the things that we need to like prioritize.
I want to add one that only came to mind recently, but I think we should prioritize, and that is a bike share, specifically because I met with the mayor. Actually, maybe we should put this in the accomplishments. Emily and I met with the mayor and with Jim and Garrett. I think both of them were there. Greg, were you there too? This was in Mayish.
I don't believe I was at that one, no.
But it was kind of just it was an opportunity for me to like level set with the mayor, because I'd never met with him before. And we reviewed a few of the different things that we're doing. We talked about Bike Month. But one of the things that surprised me is that the mayor asked for an update on the bike share, which was a project that was going before COVID that got dropped before COVID. And he asked us to start that back up. And I've done a little bit of work since then, reaching out to a couple different bike share operators just to like get the ball rolling. But I haven't done that much. And I think both because I believe that it would be really impactful for Norwalk, and because the mayor has asked for it, specifically unprompted, that we should include that somewhere. Maybe I'll put that in.
Another thing I wanted to, and I think another thing that I wanted to ask about, where in all of this do you guys see the valet, the bike valet?
Bike valet.
Because I know it's been a part of the conversation. I'm fairly new, so I just am trying to, like, is that an opportunity in the future that we want to prioritize?
I think we should. We just spent $1,000 on it, or $600 or whatever. But I think it's an opportunity on the education side. I don't know. I'll shut up. Nick should talk about this.
Nick, you're on the air.
I would also view it as an opportunity. Yeah. And it definitely gets more into the community partnership aspect that we're trying to grow towards.
And visibility with the public, which is one of the weaknesses that we spoke to, lack of public knowledge and awareness.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Now, I'm sorry, Tanner. I did like I was trying to find the ordinance that you've been referencing. Would you mind putting a link to it in this doc?
I would not mind at all. I will happily do that. Where did I reference them? Perhaps start with purposes in the city ordinance. I'll link to it right here because that's where I talked about it. Whoops.
Thank you.
And you know what? I meant to put it in the prior art up here as well.
Do you all
Okay,
feel
back
it's
to you. You're muted.
Oh, no, I was going to say, Nick, is there anything else you wanted to add besides what you just said?
A little obvious, or maybe not, but the whole idea of the bike valet is to make people who attend these events who might otherwise drive there feel more comfortable bringing their bike, knowing that there's someone who's going to be watching over it. And so like they know that they don't necessarily have to lock up their bike unattended. It'll make people from that comfort make the decision to bike to an event rather than drive to an event. And we're always trying to promote like the idea that you can bike around Norwalk rather than drive around Norwalk to get anywhere. So that's like a more fundamental goal, I guess, that it would help to accomplish.
It's great.
I've captured that as builds bike ridership.
I wanted to ask the group, is it worth going back to the strategic plan that the 2023 one and looking at our goals and then the ones that we didn't accomplish to sift through and realize and sift through and then say, okay, this maybe isn't a goal for us this year in 2024 and this is. How do you guys feel about that?
I definitely think we should look at them. I'm interested in, and you're in charge, so I'll defer to you, but I'm interested in brainstorming a bunch of goals, like way more than we have time or bandwidth for, and then prioritizing.
Okay. I think that's great. I think it's great. Yeah. So I guess we can copy and paste what we, some of our old goals, whichever way helps everybody out actually. But yeah, I'm down for that.
I think that would be helpful. Oh, sorry, Tanner.
No, go ahead, please.
I think that would be helpful. I do have to jump off soon, but I would just think that when we do make these goals, I think making them SMART goals would be more helpful in achieving. So we can set a specific time, a time frame to achieve the goal, and obviously make the goal very specific as to what we want. It's much more helpful. We found, like in public health, we talk about this stuff all the time, but when you set a SMART goal, it's just easier to kind of grasp and achieve. And then Can you guys just let me know like when we're gonna check back in on the strategic plan? Is this something I know we're gonna create the strategic plan for 2024, but is this something that you guys are planning on revisiting throughout the year? Like, are we gonna do check-ins to see what goals we're hitting or what we need to do to work towards them a little bit better? Is that part of the plan?
I think that'd be really helpful, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was suggesting that we did, like, that this is our driving, this was what drives us, is this. So,
Right.
rather
Yeah,
than
'cause,
the
like-
other way around.
Exactly. Because even like last year, like we're looking at the goals now that we set last year, but maybe it would have been a little bit helpful to check in a few times throughout 2023 to see if we're achieving or working towards those goals. So I think that would be helpful. But I do have to run. So thank you guys, and I hope everybody has a good night. So please just let me know when we're going to be meeting next, and I will join.
Thanks for that
Julia.
feedback. I truly agree with her. I think,
Happy
you know, and we're-
holiday, Julia.
Thank you.
And
You
I-
too. Go ahead, Manuel.
and I think that like as we're getting closer to 8 o'clock, maybe this would be for part 2, right? But I think it is
Mhm.
very important to make them smart. Like, for example, even if we said one of our goals is to have bike valet at one city event by October 2024, right? Like,
Right.
I think that would be really helpful. And so I know we're really, really close to 8 p.m. and I want to respect that for everybody. But I definitely feel like that should be like the top priority to make these smart.
I agree.
So, do you guys want to do some smart goaling now in these 8 minutes, or would you rather make it the next meeting?
I say we try and go divergent for the rest of this meeting, like come up with a long list right now and not worry about making them smart right now. But like create the whole space, and then in the next meeting we'll like stack rank them, prioritize them, and then formulate like the exact like smart version of it.
I love it. Sounds like a great plan.
So just to rapid fire, we talked about the bike ped plan. We talked about education. There's obviously a bunch of different versions of that: diversity representation, bike share, bike valet. There's some policy stuff that we could work on. I know that I'm more of a policy nerd. You know, just like to brainstorm. I've had some conversation with Josh Goldstein, who's on the Common Council, about a policy that would ensure that sidewalks and bike lanes are not abandoned when there's a construction project. Like, for example, on Monroe Street in South Norwalk right now, there's a big construction project and the sidewalk is just like gone and the bike lane is basically gone. And there's no, accommodations made for either cyclists or pedestrians. So there's one policy idea. But another policy idea is we talked about it at the last meeting, but it turns out that we actually missed the deadline on comment on the zoning code in terms of bicycle parking, that we could have like stricter standards for the bicycle parking that's required in the zoning code. And that's something that's like a policy work that we could do. It's also policy work that Sustainable Streets could do, because Sustainable Streets is more like specifically dialed into like this kind of work, but we could work together on that. But like that's another category of work that we could do, policy stuff.
I agree. I think that's one of the strengths I see in the Bike Walk Commission is the policy side, and we have a lot of talented people that can navigate that stuff in their group, and so I say we keep the momentum going on that. One of the goals that I would also want to include, since we're just kind of like brain dumping at this point, right, Tanner? I think revisit the calf pasture thing. I forgot what he called it. I'm sorry.
Open Street.
Open Street. Yes.
I wrote it down already. I thought you might say that. Whoops. Sorry. Okay. Here we're back.
I mean, this isn't a big goal, but I know for me, one of the goals is to meet with the school district transportation person, and I know that that's a small goal, but I feel like that's pivotal, right?
Yeah. But hopefully we can meet with her soon, and then we can have like, you know, a bigger goal for 2024. It shouldn't take us a year to meet with her.
Yeah, I know, but
Going through the goals that were on our brainstorming from last year, hold events that engage the broader community, specifically one event targeted at kids bike safety. That's why I put bike rodeo right here. Have at least one bike walk led event with at least 100 people in attendance. Have at least N new people attend our meetings, including N from underrepresented populations. Grow our digital media following. Education is really broad here. I think, you know, that could also include social media, right? Website content. We haven't talked about the website, but I'm going to retitle this as education, outreach, awareness. Website could go there. Reading through, reading through this stuff from last year, we had two different slates of goals. These were like very specific. These were a little bit broader. Promote complete streets, that's a definition. These are like strategies. Monthly meetings with Norwalk TMP team. I mean, we kind of have that in the sense that we have our monthly commission meetings and Greg shows up from the TMP team. This we kind of already talked about. Complete Streets Toolbox. This is we've got 1 minute left. I don't want to get into any more weeds. I just kind of want to finish going through this. But the support the state transportation plan, like I haven't even read it. Oh, something we should put on here is like POCD. One of our charges is to support the stuff that's in the POCD.
What is that, POCD?
It's the citywide plan, the plan of conservation and development.
yeah, because I was thinking more of the medical term.
What does PO stand for?
Plan of.
Oh, conversation development, thank you. Where is that? Where can we find that? I'd like to look at that.
It's on the city website. I think I have a bookmark though saved. POCD. Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to look at it now, but I'll find it.
Yeah, I think it's on the Norwalk, Tanner, I think it's on the Norwalk Tomorrow site.
Yeah, I found it.
Oh, okay, I'll check it out. Thank you.
I think that there's still like a lot more brainstorming that could be done. I'm only now remembering that when I was going through the planning process or the process for the Bike Friendly Communities application, that I identified a ton of stuff that was like wish list items, I called it. And that could be added here. But it's 8 p.m. and I want to make sure we can wrap up. So let's get back to me.
I mean, we can honestly, I think maybe I'm down to have a part 2 meeting, and in part 2, we continue the brain dump, and then it'd be focused on like the brain dump with then the SMART goals, and that would be what that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Any nays or
Well,
yays on that?
no, I just want to say thank you, Tanner and Manny. Thank you, and everyone. I'm signing off. My brain is drained right now.
Should we, before
No,
you sign
thank you,
off, pick
Christine, for your feedback.
the next meeting time?
I'll wait for the email. I'm good. I'm pretty open.
Like, should we try and do it
I'm down
before
for
the next
January.
commission meeting? Or not?
Oh, before? I don't, it's with the holidays. I doubt
The holidays.
that's a tough one.
There are 2 weeks left before the holidays.
Yeah,
This is next.
Well, I can't do it next Monday or next Tuesday, so. But that's just me, so somebody else can meet.
I didn't bring my calendar with me, so I can't see what the next 2 Mondays look like.
all right. Maybe we
Following
punt
Monday
and-
is Christmas.
maybe we punt and do it over email.
The 25th is Christmas. I mean, sorry, the following Monday.
We can't
We don't-
overlap with other public meetings, right?
Well, if we can pick just a set of three of us, then we could we wouldn't have to like publicly notice it, and we wouldn't have to worry about getting Greg or Delene there. Although I think that having Greg especially has been useful. But
I
man,
agree,
you're the
actually.
facilitator. What do you think?
Let me just look at the calendar again really fast.
I mean, if
So we
you guys
have-
meet, then you can bring this to our meeting. This could be like on the
Yeah.
agenda, and then
That's
Greg
what I'd like
can-
to get to. I would
Yeah.
like to have like something, some finished product in some state of finished before our next meeting. And I guess our meeting's not until the 8th of January, so we could do it that first week of January as well, but probably not on Monday because that's New Year's Day.
I mean, would like January 4th or we could, or even, I mean,
Greg, what's your availability on days other than Monday?
Usually Thursdays are no good. But no, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are fine.
What is like the
with the 18th or 9th, or the 19th or 20th,
of
like
December?
the 18th, yeah, 18, 19, 20, is that too, I don't know how, whatever, with the hustle and bustle of the holidays for everybody.
If we could do another 6:30 meeting on 18th or 20th, I could do that.
Maybe the 18th is the move then. I could do the 18th.
Let's see.
Well, I think more importantly too is Darlene, are you available?
What day we're looking at, the 18th?
Yes.
Oh, hang on a second. I can't do the 18th. I have 3 meetings that night.
Oh boy. The requirement is just that we have a note taker, right? We just need minutes.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, I would say Darlene runs the meeting too, Tanner, so it's more than just minutes. So if Darlene's not available, then we need to find somebody else to actually start the Zoom meeting.
Sure. I mean, Darlene does a fantastic job, don't get me wrong, but I imagine that it's a skill that is not unique to Darlene. I bet.
No, I understand that. It's just finding somebody else that has availability to do it, which more than likely, and Darlene, correct me if I'm wrong, would have to be a city employee, correct?
Yes, yeah. I believe so.
Yeah.
Greg, aren't you a city employee? Could you do it?
I am, but I don't have the ability to start Zoom meetings. I wish I did, trust me, but I don't.
Could we do the 19th, or does that not work?
I am flying to Utah on the evening of the 19th. I'll be on a plane.
I think we should maybe till January, to be honest. If there's availability the second, third, or fourth. I mean, or the 20th. Nope. Is anybody available the 20th of December?
How about the 3rd? It's a Wednesday.
The 3rd works for me.
I can make the 3rd work.
Yeah, I can do the third.
3rd sounds good.
Sweet. Let's do it. And it looks like there's not a single city meeting that night. Yeah. Cool.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys. And I hope our next meeting solidifies things, gels it together, and we have something for 2024.
Yeah, thanks for facilitating, man. I think this went pretty well so far.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for your input. I feel like that's like the most important part,
Are we saying 6:30?
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I'm like 30 seconds behind. But I'm trying to take notes. Cool. January 3rd, 6:30 to 8. Maybe earlier if we can wrap it up earlier. But Manny, thank you very much for facilitating. I think it was useful to have your fresh perspective. It was also useful to have somebody who is not as opinionated as me. I often try to get everybody's perspective, but I think having somebody else facilitate is more effective at doing that than having me facilitate. So thank you. Greg,
Oh,
thanks
no.
for showing up.
It's
Billion,
great.
thanks for showing up. Ben, thanks for watching this entire process.
Been
I hope you
happy to-
enjoyed it. And Nick, thanks for coming. And Christine, she's already gone, but thanks, Christine.
You guys
All
have
right.
a great holiday.
We're done here.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one.